time to get your fix. Come on down, get your horrible gaming review. 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 Wow.
Hello, my name is Zachariah with Old Man Gaming, and I should just go ahead and warn you before I even get into the normal disclaimers. I have tricked you slightly. This video says horrible review, Back 4 Blood beta, and while I'm going to do this like a review, this is much more of a first impressions video, as the beta was only 2 big missions, and it wasn't the full game, and really most of the reviews are something that you do so that you guys can know whether you should play it or not, and the Back 4 Blood beta will probably be over by the time this goes up. So that being said, apologize, but the word review in the title of your video just gets so many more views. I'm a small channel, please forgive me this transgression. Now, as far as this goes, what I'm going to do here is I get about 5 to 10 hours with the game or DLC or content that I'm reviewing, and the word horrible in this video's title does not refer to the game, DLC, or content that I'm reviewing, but much more the actual video itself, because it's a snap judgment review. I'm not going to give you a scored review because I don't believe in them. I believe video games is one of the most subjective forms of art, so I'm going to tell you what it was, the beta in this case, the overview of it, then I'm going to give you the pros and the cons of it, or in this case kind of my things that I'm excited about and the things that I'm concerned about, and then I'm going to tell you whether or not I'm definitely going to be playing this when it comes out. I guess that's kind of a spoiler. Alright, so all that out of the way, let's get into this. Back 4 Blood. Turtle Rock Studios, the makers of Left 4 Dead, well, a lot of the developers from the original Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2 have, you know, been waiting forever to make a Left 4 Dead 3. They obviously can't because Valve owns it, so they have just decided to make basically a spiritual sequel, which is Back 4 Blood. And they've made no bones about it. This is definitely what Left 4 Dead 3 would look like. So, with that being said, of course you're going to get excited for it. What is this game? Well, this game is a 4v horde sort of situation with a number of small, quick acts. Usually you are trying to get from point A to point B being a safe room, point A being a safe room, by killing just hordes of zombies, special infected zombies, and dealing with all sorts of weird obstacles along the way. It does work as a first-person shooter, and it is very heavily co-op. The Back 4 Blood beta here, what it gave us 2 full runs. Now, usually what happens in the original Left 4 Dead is you would do these acts, you do 3 acts, and then the 4th act was some sort of big finale. So you're trying to escape a thing, you're trying to shut a thing down, and it's always some sort of weird scenario to get out. With this, we got 2 different kind of 4-act scenarios to play through. Well, we also got access to 5 out of the 8 characters that will be available at launch. We got to see a little bit of the kind of player hub sort of load-in lobby sort of situation, and we got to see a little bit preview of the card system. So, quick notes that I want to say right off the bat. Nothing in the beta carries over. I know a lot of betas nowadays have been, you know, whatever you play in the original game carries over. This isn't like that. This is just more like they're doing a server test. They want to get people in. They want to test their servers and their server strength. That being said, there is no there is no solo campaign or anything like that, which we're going to talk about later. And I am, from all the previews I've seen, there is a lot of cutscenes and written lines in this game, but you don't see any of it in the beta, and I think that's for obvious reasons. They want to keep most of that a mystery, and more give you a taste and give you a real reason to play through these acts again, since, let's face it, you're going to be playing through them. We did play through them a lot over the weekend. Now the game itself, in between the acts, like once you get to a safe room, you also get, and this is a replayability factor that they built in that just It's completely different from Left 4 Dead, and made me nervous to start, but now that I've played with it, I'm a little bit more excited for it. So basically, you collect cards. Well, you collect an in-game currency that you use at your hub, kind of your hub base, to buy cards through supply lines. Then you create what's called like a player deck, which is I think a total of 12 cards. You can have less, but basically what that means then is you go into, like, let's say Act 1 of a mission. You get a starter card that you can build into your deck, and then you get a 5-card spread that you get to pick one card out of. Every card has some sort of in-game perk that adds to your character, which gives this game a build aspect that previous Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2 just didn't have. Basically, you can build out a deck for like a support character. You can build out a deck to be a healer. You can build out a deck to be a melee character. You can build out a deck for a specific weapon type. Professor Jason, the guy who, one of our big community members, actually built a deck for shotguns alone. That's how specific you can get with the deck building mechanics in this, which is really interesting and really cool. It kind of almost brings in kind of, I don't know, I feel like that's going to bring in a lot of a lot of people who like build videos and doing build videos and stuff is going to be in this game when it comes out. So yeah, so we got the 2 acts, we play through it. Each thing you get the cards, and then you use copper, which you collect in the game as you go along, to purchase things at a vendor station to actually kit yourself out for the next run. This is a little bit different from Left 4 Dead 1 and 2. Left 4 Dead 1 and 2, whatever was in the safe room was what you could pick from, and it was just a bunch of junk that you got to pick up, whatever. I kind of like this vendor situation a little bit better, just because it's very condensed. You don't have to kind of like rummage through the stuff in the room for so many minutes. Everybody could just go to the chest, they can buy their upgrades and stuff, and then move on. The supply stuff is always there with like your secondary offensive weapon, your secondary healing weapon or healing item, your other kind of utility item. All of those are always there with the same price. However, there will be a gun, a couple of guns or weapons, and then a couple of attachments that are procedurally generated in, which is also very interesting. So you never know what you're going to get from the vending station. So let's get into the pros and cons, which again is more what I'm excited for and what I notice could be a problem. So we like to go positive first, always here. So we're going to go with pros right off the bat. Pros, this game is fun as hell. I know that's not really a pro, but holy crap it is. For the fact that this is just 8 different quick missions, basically, when you break it all down. And I just couldn't stop playing it. Like, every second I got during that beta that was open, I logged in and played. The fighting, the gunfighting, the shooting is so fluid, so good, and so not choppy that it's just great. The action is non-stop. It gets your heart pounding, and you have to work as a team, but there's also solo elements to it. There's just so much great stuff in this game. You can really feel that the developers took Left 4 Dead 2. Not only did they pay homage to it, but they wanted to make something new and make it more replayable and give Left 4 Dead 2 fans the AAA present day experience that they've been waiting for, that they can really sink their teeth into, and that's this. That is this in a T. My next big pro is the card system. I'm not gonna lie, when I saw the previews for this, I got really excited, but the only thing that concerned me, that gave me a little bit of a letdown, was a card system. Oh my god, cards have just like, the idea of cards has just invaded every aspect of gaming. I feel like every game has these like weird card mechanics now, collectible card game mechanics, and I was just like, oh, not in this. I don't want to see it. Doesn't make sense, whatever. And while it still does feel a little bit, I don't know, out of place in this game, it adds just so much depth to it. It makes this game so replayable. It gives you those build aspects. And after I had played for a while, you don't see a lot of it in the beginning of the beta. It's just kind of like you have like 7 cards, you put them all on your deck, and it's like whatever. But after you start collecting the cards, you really get to see the build mechanics, because you get this pre-game build mechanics of putting together the cards that you want in, which has multi-levels. Like, do you put in a small amount of cards, knowing that you're going to run out of really good cards kind of halfway through the act, but knowing you're going to get them all? Do you put in a lot so you have a lot of variety? And then you get this secondary build mechanic of, in the situation that you're in with whoever you're playing with, what does your team really need when those 5 cards come up? And then, you know, what are you going to add to your perks? It just really gives this game that beautiful feel of newness every time you play through it, like a roguelite feel, even though it's the most light that it could be rogue, you know. But it gives you that same feeling along with the Left 4 Dead 2, which is great. My next pro is the corruption cards. In addition to the player cards that you add to your deck and you take every turn, in between each act you get these corruption cards, which change the way you move through a level. They change the level's parameters so that if you do something you can get more, you know, copper, but they also put these weird effects on the level. One of them that we experienced in this beta was the mist. That's the one that stood out the most for me. Basically the entire level would get this like fog, and you couldn't see. It was like pea soup. It just changed the level completely, and the complexity of how you're doing things and how you're reacting things. Again, it's got that just enough of that roguelite flavoring, that roguelite special sauce that's gonna keep this game fresh for many years to come, especially if they stay with this game and support this game. Plus you've got the 8 characters, so you've got all that build mechanics, and every character actually has their own specialty, which that wasn't the way in the old Left 4 Deads. They were basically skins. With this, they actually each have their own like starting abilities and traits that you can build off of with the cards as well. Just a lot of depth to this game. They really took the Left 4 Dead 2 and like just added so many layers to it. Alright, so let's talk about the cons, the concerns. First of all, I want to point out, and this is not a concern, an official concern. It's just a thing I experienced in this beta, but it's a beta, it's for this. I experienced a number of bugs, and I also experienced some serious matchmaking problems on day 1 and 2, where basically what would happen is you would click matchmaking, and then you'd get stuck in a loading screen, or you'd click matchmaking and it'd just say matchmaking fail immediately, and you'd have to log out and log in. So there is a couple of connectivity issues that really bugged me. I will say, once you were in a game, I never got booted. Personally, I know there were people out there who did. I personally, once I was in a game, never got booted from that game. So that being said, I thought that was pretty good. The other bug I noticed is that the finale of the second kind of mission, where you're shooting a cannon at a mine shaft, basically it got bugged on the last day. Well, I think the second to last day, where no zombies would spawn. So it's the finale, and you basically just go into the finale, you shoot it, and then you drive out. Like, there's no zombies would spawn for some weird reason. So yeah, so just a few bugs. I mean, this is a beta, this is what this is for, and they have a whole nother month and a half before this game comes out to get all of that fixed. But so that's not a real con, since this is a beta. My real cons are coming up. Here they are. My number one con with a bullet are the freaks in this game. I'm very let down by the freaks. Now, if you're wondering what I'm talking about in the original Left 4 Dead, Left 4 Dead 2, the special infected creatures, the zombies that had like special powers that were a little bit higher above normal zombies that posed a real threat, were called freaks. You had one that was like a tongue that could shoot around you and pull you. Another one was like one that would ride you and like control your positioning. Then you had your normal brutes and tanks and stuff. this one, of course, has that. However, the special effects in this game they're very lackluster in character. Look, I have a hard time putting my finger on what I do or do not like about them, but when I played original Left 4 Dead 2, everything had this feel. Like the ones with the tongues, like you knew they had you when they had you. The witches, like, were incredibly scary when you get around them. I would have a hard time listing to you all the special freaks that are in it. In fact, there are 2 special freaks that are almost exactly the same. There is the Bruiser and the Crusher. They literally look like the same thing. It's nearly impossible to tell them apart in the heat of battle unless somebody yells them out. And the only difference between them is one punches you really hard and the other wraps you up and crushes you. Like it was stuff like that, just not enough difference in the area, not enough behavior difference either. I noticed that the special freaks just kind of ended up rushing out with the other ones, and they end up getting killed real easy. So I don't know. With the special freaks in Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2, like, when they came out, everybody got scared when you yelled out, like, "Oh my God, we've got a jockey," or "Oh my God, we got a witch." Like, there was a collective tensing. With this, it was just kind of another thing to kill. So that was a real bummer for me. The other concern I was going to have, I think this beta kind of fixed for me. One thing that kind of sucked about Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2 is if you didn't have 3 friends, it's pretty hard to play with bots. Wasn't super fun. The bots in this weren't too bad, but they weren't super great. However, I did notice a feature when I was logging into things that was available on the menu for the campaign setup, but just blacked out, that says solo campaign. So I think we are going to get an option for a solo campaign. And let's face it, I like playing with people. Sometimes I just like to play by myself. Just play a game on my own, quietly. You know, I like to do that. Especially if I'm grinding stuff out like cards and points. I just want to be able to go in and in over and over again without having to have conversation. So this kind of does that. Well, this will do it if it has a solo campaign. I'm not 100% sure on that. It's just something you can see in the menu that's like a grayed out selection. But I'm assuming there will be a solo campaign, so I'm kind of excited for that. If not for nothing else, but for grinding purposes. So that's cool. Not really a concern or a pro. I just want to point out that I noticed it. As far as whether or not I'm going to be playing with this when it comes out, I'm going to be playing it nonstop when it comes out. I've never had an experience with a beta be so positive. I am so excited for this to come out. I saw very little problems, nothing that would keep me from playing this, and it's going into Game Pass day one, so how would you not? I really feel like, you know, the last 2 years, we haven't had any AAA releases without controversy, just controversy up the wazoo. And I really feel like Turtle Rock has a good chance of nailing this. So fingers crossed, we see some real love from this. So that's it. You guys can reach us at Facebook at OldManGamingDH, on Twitter at OldManGaming9. You can join our Discord. Links in the description below. You can influence us in all of our shows from there. Guys, as long as you keep watching and listening, we'll be making them. We'll see you guys next week.